Greetings from my stories, a site full of unexpected and energizing stories of inspirational. Now a story that is not just about a dog is above us, but it's about courage too. A valued justice lesson and protection. The story in which Keanu Reeves, one of the most famous stars in Hollywood, faced with an unbelievable difficulty guarding his four-legged companion from ruthless bikers' cruelty. You'll be on the edge of your seat throughout this tale, packed with dramatic action and tension, and an emotional conclusion you won't expect. Let's go directly to the story. The morning was calm and peaceful in Brooklyn Heights, an area renowned for its streets lined with trees and the crisp of historic homes. The city's sweltering summer heat was relieved by the morning air. The bustling streets danced as the sunlight where Keanu reveals the star of celebration and action buddy with his dog strolled. A powerful and inspiring pit bull was a faithful companion who was more than just a pet. Keanu had created a unique bond with while he was filming in New York. Keanu today should be set aside a sleepy walk with Buddy for a bit, a simple rest from the demanding stresses. Brooklyn Heights' career with its quaint cafes and charming brownstones was the ideal man's retreat, and his friend with four legs, Keanu, loved this kind of morning. A chance to fit in with the background, exiting the spotlight, adoring fans, watchful eyes, and the media. I felt especially ordinary today. And Keanu was able to consider living for a while like everyone else in this room. However, like with many captivating tales, unexpected twists frequently occur when you least expect them. They started an uneventful walk, the symbolic sound of the sidewalk footsteps fitting in with the serene settings, the sun glinting on Buddy's sleek coat, and his perceptive eyes glowing curiously. Happily wag his tail, Keanu leaned down to pet him each time. It was the ideal weather, dispersing the looming summer heat with a gentle breeze. Leisurely, the pair strolled, sampling the simplicity of little moments in life. Keanu was unable to assist, however. Be thankful that Buddy is here. Not like most pets, Buddy has a unique ability to sense his moods, providing comfort during demanding days on the set, only unwavering love and loyalty, without judgment. Upon passing a bar known as Iron and Ash, Buddy and Keanu gave it no attention. Nevertheless, this imposing Brooklyn Heights corner was the point at which their story would drastically change. The bar was situated at the neighborhood's edge, stood erect in the midst of the serene surroundings. It was weathered, a row of gigantine motorcycles and concrete walls parked at a rougher, like metal beasts hinted gritter world. The expanding bike engines, the ambient sounds were drowned out, overshading the otherwise calm streets with a shadow. As Buddy and Keanu got closer outside the bar, a group of bikers loitered in black leather jackets, clad mirrored sunglasses and ripped jeans. They had a menacing aura. Keanu perceived them, a single group of people, appreciation of their morning, and didn't think much about them. What he was not expecting will the unprovoked hostility unfurl. There was a particularly large man among the bikers, having an ominous presence. His piercing, difficult gaze locked upon Buddy. The man appeared to have a natural dislike of dogs, and Buddy is always curious. I started approaching Buddy. This was just one more strange thing to notice. Possibly a friend. But to the biker, the canine was merely an annoyance, a compassion unworthy object. As they got closer, Buddy stopped to sniff the air. Ignorant of the danger, without advance notice, the biker made an acceptation and gave Buddy a brutal kick to the side, accessing the indocile animal like a toy. It was clear that he lacked kindness and patience. Keanu froze at that moment. The scene unfolding in front of him, a reel of slow motion. He abruptly shifted his gaze to the biker, who appeared unaware of the gravity of his deeds. The man was unaware that he was only a few feet away. Keanu Reeves was a fierce man who protected the people he loved. In particular, his faithful companion. Keanu erupted in fiery rage, while his calm demeanor was well known. Moreover, this was a line that no one could cross. Peaceful nature endangering a healthy creature, his cherished companion, was unforgivable. Immediately, as a protector, Keanu's instincts took over. Keanu used a measured stride to access the biker, Upholding justice a sufficient distance to avoid an immediate escalation, his penetrating gaze remained fixed on the man's, completed with intensity that was more expressive than words could ever be. There was no need for Keanu to speak. There was an unmistakable weight to his silence. This is a warning that it will not last long. What comes next would determine if this conversation ended reasonable or a retribution the biker was unaware of. Was it true that Keanu Reeves was a man who refused to give up? Especially when defending a friend was involved like Buddy, it felt like the air was freezing. As the biker, I am tense. Defiance filled his expression after the brutal kick. Keanu locked eyes. The peaceful morning was abruptly disturbed. In its place, a taut silence, like a string driven to the end, available for snap. At any time, Keanu stood to check on Buddy. The canine rested on his feet, experiencing pain and panting as a result of the forceful blow within him. A surge of anger rose. However, Keanu knew he had to deal with the circumstance. With resolve, Buddy, and clarity, he wagged his tail slightly despite his discomfort, as though to reassure Keanu that he was all right. However, this was far from acceptable to Keanu. A dog was a friend, not just a pet. A member of the family. Growing slowly, Keanu's expression totally changed. It was no longer a Hollywood star's face. However, that of a man prepared to stand up for what was most important. Is there a Keanu asked problem? Despite being calm, his voice has an undercurrent. A force that kept those close instinctively go back a step, unimpressed by Keanu's presence. The biker laughed. He was a powerful man, heavy-muscled and broad-shouldered. Adding to his menacing demeanor is his thick beard. A dog is all, he sneered. What's the big deal? In the event that your mutt is unable to stay out of the way, I will impart a lesson to it. The words matched the fire exactly, burning in Keanu's chest already. However, he continued to be in the spotlight for his years, explaining to him the impact of restraint. However, this did not imply that he would overlook the incident. Teach a Keanu echoed lesson. His voice was delivered with caution. Buddy, your kick did not hit. It affected me, and I don't believe that this can be left unresolved. The commotion had by this point attended the group's other bikers start collecting a middle of suspicion and curiosity in their expressions. Clearly, they hadn't acknowledged Keanu, or they did not care. If they had, he was just another man to them. Who was it that collapsed into their territory? Keanu did not recover. In an attempt to reassure Buddy, he knelt down briefly. His gaze was fixed firmly on the biker before he straightened it. You don't appear to comprehend. According to Keanu, his voice is now calmer but sharper. Dogs don't punch bags or play with toys. Buddy is related to another biker. Perceiving the increasing tense, a raised hand stepped forward, attempting to defuse the situation. Okay, everyone, relax. A forced grin appeared on his face as he spoke. We do not want this to go away. However, it was the first biker who had attacked Buddy. I wasn't prepared to give up. He took a step toward Keanu, just a few inches away, attempting to initiate his towering frame. What is he spatting now? Dripping his tone with difficulties. You're going to call the police. Or, do you want to end this now? Keanu did not reply right away. He stood his ground. He bore his unwavering gaze into the man's without uttering a single word. Keanu exuded a commanding presence. The surrounding noise was muffled. It seemed as though the air held its breath. The tension is sufficiently thick to be cut with a knife. A long charged pause after Keanu's voice was steady but resonant. It's not about my actions. Eyes locked on the bikers. He said what you just did is the issue. And if you consider the results worth it. The air was heavy with the weight of Keanu's words. A powerful punch over any physical blow. The bikers changed, uncomfortably changing posture. Something was in Keanu's tone. A mixture of conviction, of authority, moreover, moral clarity that made him stand out as someone who shouldn't be underestimated. To retort, the first biker opened his mouth. However, prior to speaking through the tension of voice, cut a woman who was most likely a neighbor who had been keeping an eye on the situation, moved forward while holding her phone high. Its camera was aimed straight at the cyclists. Hey, she called. I got it all on video. She confirmed. Do not want this to go viral. It would be better if you apologized and left. Dynamics swapped immediately. During the brash bikers, they were obviously not seeking more trouble, especially because there is proof that their actions were noted under his breath. The ringleader said something. Taking a last look at Keanu prior to stepping onto his heel and leaving the others adhered to the suit, they retreated with deflating bravado. Gradually, the tension dissipated. Despite the fact that the confrontation's echoes lingered to check on Buddy once more, Keanu knelt. His comfortable and gentle touch, the puppy's tail waggled a little, an indication of his recovery. Softening of Keanu's expression while he whispered words of comfort, rising to his loyal friend. When the woman had intervened, Keanu turned to face her. He said sincerely, "Thank you." His appreciation with Buddy by his side, Keanu left the settlement. He knew deep down that this incident wasn't over. The bikers' actions are not, in the broadest sense, were more than a personal front. A social issue was reflected in them. As they struggled back, they couldn't ignore that. Into Brooklyn Heights tranquility, Keanu decided to take a thoughtful look at this issue. His mission was not to protect Buddy. The larger image was about resisting cruelty and promoting responsibility and kindness. Moreover, Keanu Reeves, his unshakable determination and quiet strength, I was prepared to accept the position. Keanu held the baby in his arms. The world appeared to be blurring around him. The usual cacophony in the city, the car horns, the footsteps, rhythmic clatter, the communication of wind via towering buildings in the background faded. The only sound he could hear was Buddy's laughter. Keanu's eyes never left his companion as he shot breaths, overwhelmed with worry that went deeper than any obstacle he had encountered. This wasn't just another test, whether it was on or off the screen. It was a battle for the life of a loved one, usually so lively and full of energy. Buddy now, every breath seemed to be a clear struggle. Fear was evoked at Keanu's solution. However, he made himself remain composed. He needed to be strong for Buddy. It was just a few blocks away from the veterinary clinic. Moreover, Keanu was impatient for a taxi. He spread out throughout the streets, tightly clutching Buddy. Every action was motivated by desperation. And I have to get there in time. That's all. The risk of failure was unbelievable. However, it lingered at the corners of his thoughts, endangering to face him. The clinic's green and white sign, at last like a beacon in the night, it appeared in the distance, burst through the doors. Keanu, ignoring the stunned expressions of those who were waiting room, "I need assistance." His voice was clear but urgent when he called it out. "I have a dog that has been poisoned." A composed woman with hair tied back and a veterinarian. I started moving forward right away. "Lay him here," she said. Directions to a table for stainless steel examination. Keanu carefully set the Buddy on the table in the corner. His hands trembled as he released them. As if concerned that any change may get worse the state of Buddy, the vet started her examination with efficacy practice. Her hands are moving swiftly, yet cautiously. Keanu stand with fists clenched nearby Buddy. His gaze was fixed. "Do you know what happened?" Her tone was calm but urgent. The vet asked. Keanu breathed steadily as best he could. He recounted the events. "I believe that Buddy was poisoned by someone. He began having trouble breathing, possibly due to food, and immediately became weaker. I think it has to do with a group of bikers I met prior to." The vet nodding. "She never stops working. To identify the toxin, blood tests will be required. However, I will administer activated charcoal for the time being to take in whatever was still in his stomach and initiate 4 fluids for him to stability." Listening to this in Keanu's heart, a glimmer of hope flickered. But he knew that the fight was far from over. On whatever he said, his voice was emotional and heavy. Buddy is family, not just a dog. The vet took a quick look. She met his eyes with comprehension. "We'll do all within our power." She assured me that Keanu will be escorted into the waiting area. The team's efforts to save Buddy despite the quietness of the room, it felt oppressive. He relaxed from anxiety and sat down on his legs. His thoughts were racing. Considering what might have been done differently, in the waiting room with a few other people a glance at him, acknowledging him, Keanu Reeves, but no one attended. It became evident from his expression. Autographs and photos were not needed at this time. While he waited in his mind, Keanu reenacted the events of the day. He was certain that this wasn't an accident. Buddy had been deliberately poisoned by the bikers. But why an innocent animal would be targeted by what kind of person? Anger flared up once more, but he suppressed it. Buddy, rage would not assist. Neither justice nor clarity would result from it. Calm determination was what Buddy needed just now. Keanu examined his hands. Remaining impact of Buddy's fur, they were clenched into fists by him. Quietly consenting to give his friend a chance in the universe after what appeared to be eternity. Even so, it was just roughly 30 minutes. From the back room, the vet arrived. She had a tired face. However, her expression was devoid of despair. Keanu got a sliver of hope from it. She said, "Buddy is stable." Moreover, Keanu exhaled. He didn't realize he was holding a breath. "We gave him 4 fluids and activated charcoal. He was poisoned, according to the first blood tests, using a substance discovered in rat poison along with a powerful sedative. That's why he made his decision so fast." Keanu felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't a negligent act. Will he make it? It was deliberate. His voice trembled slightly as he asked. The vet nodded. "If we keep treating him and keep a careful eye on him, I am an optimist. However, it will take him a few days to fully recover." Keanu's determined eyes glowed. "Whatever it takes, I'll do it." To ensure the best care for Buddy, the vet gave a small, comfortable smile. "He's a fighter, and he's lucky to have you." I can say that Keanu was permitted to have a brief glimpse of Buddy. His faithful companion's sight, hooked up to IVs, although steadier, his breathing is still slow, was relieving and heartbreaking. Buddy's head was gently stroked by Keanu. His voice was gentle and loving. "You will be all right, Buddy." I agree. Later that evening, when he was leaving the clinic, Keanu knew this ordeal was more than just a recovery for Buddy. It was about confirming those who were in charge were held accountable. He didn't intend to tolerate this cruelty go unanswered for the time being. He continued to concentrate on Buddy's recovery. Additionally, he made sure his faithful friend knew he wasn't alone in the conflict. Upon hearing from the veterinarian the state of that Buddy had stabilized, a wave of relief washed over Keanu. However, the sensation was fleeting. Experienced the glass window Buddy resting on a tiny recovery bed, he understood that saving Buddy was just half the fight. Those who performed this horrible ACT couldn't be permitted to leave. This was more than Juddy. Keeping the community safe from such cruelty was the goal. Keanu walked out of the waiting area of the clinic and withdrew his phone. He made an implicit call to someone he trusted. In circumstances such as these, Sheriff Hank Morrison years ago, during a charity event, Keanu had met Hank, and a respectful friendship had been maintained between the two. A principled lawman, Keanu knew Hank dedicated to equity. The tone of Hank's voice was grave. Seeing the urgency in Keanu's tone, right away Keanu provided the details of what happened. From after the bikers' confrontation, the kick that caused Buddy's injury, the vet's findings, and the poisoned food. As he spoke, his voice grew quieter. "This goes beyond Buddy. I want to ensure that these individuals don't get another opportunity to damage other people. Either an animal or human hand." Listened intently. "I understand now that this wasn't random. Individuals like this typically, they have a criminal history. However, if we intend to take action, we must follow the book exactly. A vigilante move is not possible." Even though Hand couldn't see him, Keanu nodded. "I am not seeking violence. I want to suggest a justice." Hand. Getting together to talk about their strategy at a nearby cafe, Hank arrived with a thick file, When they meted, including details about different bike gangs working at heights in Brooklyn. Accessing the file, Hank posted on a tiger image. One such gang's emblem is razor-sharp claws. Did he ask this group? Keanu identified it at once. The patch on the leather vest matched the emblem. The biker who had injured Buddy wore it. He confirmed that those were them. His voice is firm but steady. Hank explained the gang was on the radar of law enforcement, suspected of a number of illegal activities for a while. However, concrete proof has proven elusive. The opening could be Buddy's poisoning. They had to delve further. However, we must emphasize solid proof. Hands. Apart from the kick-in, did you notice anything? The food poison. Keanu reminded the encounter. The mocking actions of the biker, the way he left the cafe, and his arrogance without care for the implications. They had nothing to conceal. If we thoroughly examine their bar, I have no doubt that we will discover something egregious. Hank defined a plan and accepted in order to raid the bar. He would lead a team, Iron and ASH, but Keanu was advised to avoid it. You're a public figure, Keanu. It could complicate matters if you've witnessed it. Keanu resisted at first, but eventually gave in. I'll keep my distance. However, I must be nearby to ensure that justice is being done. The following day, as Buddy was still recovering, the plan was carried out by Hand and his team. Keanu was true to what he said. Observed from afar across the street, standing in a shadowed alley out of sight, however, close enough to observe the police lights that are flashing quickly. The operation unfolded. Iron and ASH entered by Hank and his officers during the gathering of bikers in order to prevent escapes. They secured every exit. An officer took a step forward, announced the warrant for search, his voice slicing through the bar's dense atmosphere. At first, the bikers were stunned, turned aggressive quickly. A few tried to opt out, however. The police were well prepared, carefully managed them. Hank made sure that the situation didn't turn violent. As well as in half an hour, all of the gang members were detained. A hidden storage area was found during a premature search over the bar. Inside, an arsenal of illegal substances was discovered by officers. Armament and additional evidence connecting the gang with different crime in the area. Sadly, they discovered remnants of the poisoned food. A comparison with what Buddy had consumed, it was the indisputable proof. Tying the gang to the act was necessary. As soon as the raid was over, Hank called Keanu. We have them, he said. Sufficient proof to charge them. Moreover, they did it to Buddy, but for numerous other offenses as well. They will not be able to walk freely anytime soon. Keanu deeply exhaled. The burden of worry is starting to lessen. Many thanks. Hank, his voice was full of genuine gratitude. He said, couldn't have asked for more from you. Keanu's Hank chuckled lightly. This is moving because of your determination. Go now and care for Buddy. Afterwards that day, the vet gave Keanu more good news. Buddy was able to return home after making notable progress. When Keanu visited him the following day, the puppy's tail waggled feebly. However, with a noticeable impact, kneeling beside him was Keanu, passing his fingers through the soft fur of Buddy. Buddy, we did it. Now you're safe, he said. And everyone else is, too. Before Keanu brings Buddy home, he thought back on everything they had gone through. Not just for Buddy, justice had been served. Nevertheless, for the wider community and throughout everything, a reminder of unwavering loyalty. Buddy and the unfound power of compassion and love. The day after, upon Keanu's arrival at the healthcare facility to go get Buddy, he experienced a profound sense of relief and thankfulness. There had been difficulties during the last few days and stress, but Buddy's amazing rest gave his heart a sense of lightness. Going into the recovery area, Keanu saw Buddy. His tail is waggling gracefully, and his eyes are brighter. The sight filled Keanu with warmth, as though welcoming him. That there would never be a professional accomplishment that could compare. Keanu knelt down and gave Buddy a gentle embrace. We created it, Buddy. Speaking to his faithful friend, he whispered, like T.O., a cherished partner, I could never have imagined how strong you are. Dr. Harper smiled kindly as he entered the room. The child of Miss Riva is prepared to return home. We completed the last checks this morning, she said. Moreover, he is entirely stable. Ensure that he gets a few days of rest. And adhere to the dietary guidelines. Keanu gave Dr. Harper thank you, and every veterinary worker buddy was not saved by you. He claimed that there was emotion in his voice. I was also saved by you. Buddy and I leaving the clinic joyously trotting with him, a feeling of hope reassured in Keanu. The ordeal had put their resolve and bond to the test. However, it had also reaffirmed the importance of love, loyalty, and defending the moral high ground. But Keanu knew the story wasn't finished yet. A week after the Keanu and Buddy story had gone viral on social media, photos of Keanu at the clinic and news outlets, in addition to reports about the arrest of the biker gang, widespread attention captured nonetheless. He is humble by nature. Keanu refrained from exploiting the incident for his own benefit. Rather, he desired the narrative to convey a more significant message, a warning that everyone, lives, animal or human, deserves protection and respect. During an emotional interview, I heard Keanu's thoughts. Buddy is family, not just a dog. Moreover, I believe any one of us would go to any lengths to defend our family. However, empathy is what I hope others learn from this. Those who are unable to defend themselves must be looked after. Regardless if it's a dog, cat, or any other living creature. The words of Keanu struck a deep chord. They were quoted and widely disseminated, turning into a call for compassion and accountability for animals. Fans sent gifts and letters, and even assistance for animal well-being. Brooklyn Heights. In Buddy's honor, there was a palpable shift in the community. After the Iron and ASH events, after the detained biker gang and the investigation bar closed, the peace returned to the neighborhood. Residents gave thanks to Keanu for his essential part in getting rid of a risky part of their lives. Nevertheless, justice was rarely straightforward, as Keanu was aware. He recognized the popularity of the biker gang might show up anywhere and start harming people in different ways. However, he found comfort in the understanding that justice, though occasionally elusive, always found a method. We appreciate people who are prepared to stand up for what is right. I have gained knowledge from this. To a close friend, Keanu confided, we are powerless over everything. However, we have control over how we react. And if each of us decides to act appropriately, the world becomes better, no matter how small. For Keanu, his relationship with Buddy had become stronger. Immensely, they were changed from owner and pet by their ordeal into real companions in the fullest sense of the word. In Keanu's life, Buddy was no longer merely a co-star, a steadfast partner. He was in both difficulties and achievements. Upon Buddy's complete recovery, he went back to the set with Keanu. Members of the crew welcomed Buddy like a hero, presenting him with cheers and pats. The real star, Keanu joked, is him. In many ways, Buddy has evolved into a representation of love and resiliency. The Keanu and Buddy story wasn't just a survival story. Compassion was tested by it. A social media post that contains justice and courage. Keanu used these words to summarize the journey. Love and protection are essential for all living things. I learned from Buddy that humans are not the only source of loyalty. However, from our four-legged companions as well. Above all, in our darkest moments, he reminded me we find the strength to act morally. Never do any damage to a dog or any other living thing, because the most valuable thing we all have is life. A Hollywood star was not the only part of the tale. In his dog, a worldwide story of kindness, assessment, and justice, values that go beyond status or fame. If there were one thing to take away from it, it was this: everyone has the ability to act right. If we are brave enough to take action. Buddy and Keanu started a new day. They left behind more than just a motivational tale, but a kindness legacy, loyalty, and the power of love to transform. Alone with a look to the future, prepared for whatever could arise. considering that they were aware that as long as they had one another, anything may be overcome by them. If this story impacted you, remember to hit like and subscribe. Tio received new amazing stories about Mayan stories never fade from memory. In life, love and protection are invaluable qualities. Regardless of your identity or profession, we appreciate your time and hope to see you in our next stories.